Picture this. You did it. After weeks of being careful, skipping a few things you didn't need, maybe picking up an extra shift or selling something around the house, you look at your bank account and there it is, $500, just sitting there. And for a second, it feels amazing. And then immediately your brain starts doing that thing. Should I invest it? Should I pay down debt? Should I finally buy that thing I've been putting off? Should I just leave it and save more first? And suddenly $500 feels like a decision you could get wrong. So you do nothing. Or you spend it, and then it's gone, and you're back where you started wondering what the right move even was. Here's what most people don't realize. $500 is not a small amount. In the right order, $500 is the beginning of something that actually compounds. But most people don't know the order, and the order is everything. So today, I'm going to walk you through the exact sequence, step by step, for what to do with your first $500 in a way that builds real financial momentum. Not the flashy version, the version that actually works. My name is Jack. If you're someone who finally has a little money saved but has no idea what to do with it first, hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Let's start with the most important truth about your first $500. It cannot do everything at once. And if you try to split it across too many goals, it ends up doing nothing well. So the key is sequencing. Doing the right thing first, then the next right thing, in the right order. Think of it like building a house. You don't start with the roof. You don't start with the furniture. You start with the foundation. And your financial foundation has a specific order too. Step 1. Check if you have a financial hole. Before your $500 does anything else, it needs to answer one question. Do you have high interest debt? Because here's the math that most people ignore. If you have a credit card charging 22% interest and you put $500 into an index fund hoping for an 8% annual return, you are losing 14% per year on that decision. The investment isn't building wealth. It's losing the race to your debt. This is what financial experts call a guaranteed return. Paying off high interest debt is the only investment in the world that gives you a guaranteed double-digit return with zero risk. The stock market cannot promise that. A savings account definitely cannot promise that. But eliminating a 22% debt? That's a 22% return. Immediately, every time. So step 1 is simple. If you have any debt above 10% interest, credit cards, payday loans, high-interest personal loans, your first $500 goes there. Not all of it, maybe, but a meaningful chunk, because every dollar you throw at high-interest debt pays you more than any investment can right now. Now, if you have no high-interest debt, or once that's handled, move to step 2. Build the $500 buffer. Here's something most financial advice skips. Before you invest a single dollar, you need a buffer. Not a full emergency fund yet, just a buffer. $500 sitting in a separate account that you do not touch. Why $500 specifically? Because $500 covers most small financial ambushes. A tire, a prescription, a utility bill that spikes unexpectedly, a parking ticket, the kind of thing that used to go straight onto a credit card because there was nothing in savings to cover it. Without this buffer, here's what happens. You invest your $500. 3 weeks later, your car needs a repair. You don't have cash, so you put it on a credit card at 22% interest. You just paid 22% to keep your investment. That's not building wealth. That's running in place on a treadmill that's actively moving backwards. The $500 buffer breaks that cycle. It means the next small emergency gets handled with cash, not debt. And that single change, stopping the cycle of small emergencies becoming credit card debt, can save you hundreds or even thousands of dollars per year in interest alone. Open a separate savings account, not your checking account, a different account. Rename it Buffer Fund or Do Not Touch. Transfer $500 in, then don't look at it unless something genuinely requires it. That's step 2. Now you have a foundation. Now you can build. Step 3. Capture free money first. Once your buffer exists, the next question before investing anywhere is this. Does your employer offer a retirement match? Because an employer match is the single highest return investment available to any working person. Full stop. If your employer matches 100% of your contributions up to 3% of your salary, that is an immediate 100% return on every dollar you put in. No investment on earth matches that. Here's what most people don't realize. Millions of workers leave employer match money on the table every year simply because they haven't set up their contribution or haven't contributed enough to capture the full match. That is free money with a guaranteed 100% return that they are handing back to their company by accident. So before you open a brokerage account, before you buy your first index fund, check if your employer has a match. If they do, make sure you're contributing at least enough to capture every dollar of it, even if that means your $500 goes toward adjusting your paycheck contribution rather than a direct investment. If you're self-employed or your employer offers no match, skip this step and move straight to step 4. Open a tax-advantaged account. Now we invest, but where your money lives matters as much as what it's invested in. In the U.S., most people have access to either a 401k through their employer or an IRA they can open independently. These accounts are tax-advantaged, meaning the government gives you a benefit for saving inside them. Either you don't pay taxes on the money going in, or you don't pay taxes on the growth when it comes out. Depending on the account type, the tax savings can add tens of thousands of dollars to your long-term outcome. A Roth IRA is often the best starting point for people earlier in their career. You contribute after-tax dollars, your money grows tax-free, and you pay zero taxes on withdrawals in retirement. On a $500 starting investment that grows over 30 or 40 years, the tax-free compounding makes an enormous difference. You can open a Roth IRA at most major brokerage platforms. The process takes about 15 minutes. Once it's open, your $500 goes in. Now you're invested in a tax-advantaged environment. That's a structural advantage most people never set up. Step 5. Choose one simple investment. Now that the account exists and the money is in, what do you actually buy? This is where beginners overthink it. They spend weeks researching individual stocks, comparing cryptocurrencies, looking for the one pick that's going to change everything. And while they're researching, their money is sitting in cash, earning almost nothing. Here's what most people don't realize. For beginners with $500, the best investment is almost always the most boring one. A broad market index fund, something that tracks the S&P 500 or the total U.S. stock market. One fund, that's it. Why? Because an index fund gives you instant diversification across hundreds of companies. You're not betting on one business. You're betting on the entire market. And historically, the entire market has gone up over every long period in modern financial history. Warren Buffett, who has spent decades studying investments professionally, has repeatedly said that most investors, including professionals, would be better off in a simple low-cost index fund than trying to pick individual winners. If that's his recommendation for most investors, it's probably the right starting point for someone with their first $500. Pick one fund, buy it, then leave it alone. Step 6. Automate the next contribution. Here's the truth about your first $500. It barely matters by itself. $500 invested at 7% annual growth for 30 years becomes about $3,800. That's real money, but it's not life-changing. What's life-changing is what comes next, because the real power of investing isn't the first deposit. It's every deposit after that. It's the habit of consistent contributions that compounds into something enormous over time. So the final step, and arguably the most important one, is to automate your next contribution before the excitement of this moment fades. Set up an automatic transfer, even $25 per week, even $50 per month. Something small enough that it doesn't hurt, but consistent enough that it never stops. Here's the math on why this matters. If you invest $500 today and never add another dollar, at 7% annual growth over 30 years, you have roughly $3,800. But if you invest $500 today and then add just $100 per month for 30 years at the same return, you end up with over $120,000. Not because you were a genius, because you were consistent. Automation beats motivation every single time, because motivation is high right now. Right now, you're watching a finance video and feeling ready to change things. But 3 weeks from now, when rent is due and you're tired and there's something you want to buy, motivation disappears. The automatic transfer doesn't care. It just moves. Set it up today, not next week, today. The full order, one more time. Let's recap the exact sequence. First, attack any high-interest debt above 10%. Second, build your $500 buffer in a separate account. Third, capture any employer match if one is available. Fourth, open a tax-advantaged account like a Roth IRA. Fifth, buy one simple broad market index fund. Sixth, automate your next monthly contribution, and don't stop. That's it. 6 steps. No complexity, no speculation, no trying to time the market or find the next big thing. Just the right moves in the right order. And here's the part that most people don't fully grasp until later. The decisions you make with your first $500 are not really about $500. They're about who you become financially. They're about whether you're someone who has a system or someone who just hopes it works out. The people who build real wealth are not always the ones who make the most money. They're the ones who set up the right system early and then let time do the heavy lifting. Your first $500 is the moment you decide which one of those people you're going to be. If this video helped you finally see a clear path forward, hit the subscribe button, give this a thumbs up, and comment below. What are you planning to do with your first $500? I want to know, because the fact that you're watching this means you're already ahead of most people. Now go make the first move.